Okay, we're wrapping up lines 1 through 11. We have the invocation of the Muse, and it's helpful also to look at far. He gives you little summaries here, and he says it's the invocation of the Muse. So I would definitely read his little summaries. They're very helpful. It says, Musa, mihi causas memora, quo numine laiso, quidve dolens regina Deum tot volere casus, insignem pietate virum tot adire labores impuleret, tantai nanimis caelestibus irae. Okay, so the Muse is the goddess, divinity that Vergil calls on to help him remember poetic things, and it's very common in Homer to call upon the Muse. That's how they start the Iliad and the Odyssey, is to call upon the Muse for the poet to get inspired. And so he's calling on the Muse. This is actually a vocative form here, but it's the same as nominative. He says, Muse, Musa, memora, and this is an imperative, it's a command. Remind for me. So squiggly, it's a verb. Remind for me, okay? Remind to me. The causas, the causes, okay? The causes of what? The causes why Juno became so angry with Aeneas. This is what the whole Aeneid is really about on some levels. Juno being angry at him. It goes throughout the whole Aeneid. That's the reason why he has so much trouble getting there and fighting all these wars. Quo numine laiso. Now these are all ablative here, and this little phrase you have to kind of take as a little ablative phrase, what we call the ablative absolute. Okay. And remember, ablative always describes how something is done, so this is describing a condition for how something happened in the sentence. So we just say it like this. It's really in a question because it's got this quo. With what, numine is deity, numen is a divine spirit, with what deity laiso? Laisus means, it comes from laido, laidere, laisi, laisus, which means wounded. This is the participle form of it, the perfect participle, but in an ablative ending. With what deity offended? Okay, it just kind of hangs out there as its own little thing. Muse, remind for me the reasons. Remind for me the reasons. With what deity having been offended? Okay. In other words, remind for me the reasons. What deity was offended? With what deity offended? Okay. Quid way is like que means and, way means or. Okay, so it's just another thing that goes on the end of a word. Or dolens, and this is the Juno it's talking about, so it's nominative. Or dolor means to pain, or doleo means to be in pain. You can look it up down here. Doleo, dolere, second conjugation. Dolui, dolitus. This is the present active participle. Grieving, as ins or intus or inten. Grieving at what? Okay, grieving at what? That's the thing I'm screaming at. With what deity offended? Or grieving at what? In other words, remind for me the reasons. What deity was upset? What was she upset about? What was she grieving at? Remind for me the reasons. The regina, subject. The queen, deum. This is deorum, like superorum. The queen of the gods. Grieving at what? The queen of the gods. You gotta go all the way down to here. Impuleret. Impulet means to drive, okay? Like expulet, drive out. Impulet, drive into or drive to a thing. The queen of the gods drove, okay? Avirum, here's the object that goes with it. Subject, verb, object. Kind of spaced out, huh? The queen of the gods drove a man, and he goes with insignium, distinguished. How is he distinguished? This ablative tells you how. By piety, by religiousness, which is really loyalty to the gods and men. That's what pietas is, being pious. And Aeneas is definitely pious and has pietas. We talked about this in class. If there's anybody that's pious, it's Aeneas. So right away, Vergil establishes that he's pious by using pietas here. He's a man distinguished by piety, by loyalty to the gods and his fellow men and his country. Tell me why, Muse, is what Vergil's saying. The queen of the gods drove a man distinguished by loyalty to volvere and to adire. Now this in plural goes with two infinitives. To volvere, to roll through, tot casus, not causas, but casus. Casus are trials or perils, okay? To roll through so many misfortunes or trials, okay? So many misfortunes or trials. And to adire, to go to, again, to go to or to undergo, tot labores, so many labors, so many misfortunes. Both these things mean misfortunes or trials or bad things. So again, this whole thing. Muse, remind for me the reasons, the causes. With what deity, having been offended, or grieving at what? The queen of the gods drove a man distinguished by piety to roll through, or to go through, to endure so many misfortunes, and to go to so many labors. Okay, this is what I want to know, Muse. Remind for me these reasons. What were the reasons for it? And then he asks this question to kind of end this little section off. Tantai nanimis kairestibus virai. Now that ne is just an ending, which means a question mark, right? Tantai then is your word. And tantai goes with irai. So tantai irai. So those things go together all the way over there, okay? And you got to put the word posunt, okay, in here. Is it can they, okay? Posunt, can they be, okay? Or maybe sunt, okay? Are there? Are there or can there be such great, what the tantus is, tantus, so great, such great angers? I know it's plural, it really means, can there be such great anger? But a lot of times Vergil uses plurals just to sound poetic. Can there be such angers? And you got to put in with these ablatives here, these is and ibus, remember, are ablative plurals. In, okay, in the caelestibus animis, in the heavenly minds. Can such angers be in the heavenly minds? Okay. Posunt or sunt are either okay. Or can such angers be in the heavenly minds? Okay, and then this little literary device here, this figure of speech, notice on this page we had an interlocking order, where the words were locked like that, saevae memorem unonus obiram. Well, here you notice the two ablatives are, inside the two nominatives here. And these are nominatives, sorry, I should double that. Okay, and so what they call this is they call this chiasmus. And that's when these are within another pair. There's a pair within a pair. And this chiasmus comes from the Greek letter chi, which looks like this, like an X, and it's symmetrical. So this is like symmetrical, like an X. Okay, A B B A is the way you designate it. A B B A, meaning it's nominative, ablative, ablative, nominative. But they can be any cases. In the case of this one, it's A B A B. Right? In this case, it went genitive, accusative, genitive, accusative. And you don't worry about that little preposition. You don't count that. Okay, so A, B, A, B. Okay, that's lines 1 through 11. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And we'll be picking up with line 12 in the next video. Walete.